Wanna sound like a professional? The MRGE Studio should be your next stop. A private, intimate environment, but invite only. Our engineer has years of experience mastering and mixdowns, production and beats. Available all in our one-stop shop of entertainment. MRGE Studios, let us help you sound the best, be the best, and beat the rest. Let's come together at MRGE Studios. Peace. Welcome to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN, the United Ronin Networks. My name is Ralph Anthony Garcia, also known as R4. The legal, the loyal, the regal, the royal. Ronin Ralph, your master of ceremonies. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tune in to TURN, the United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Today on Ralph Reads, I finalized the first book of the award-winning and critically acclaimed inspiration in the literary field, Sister Souljah, Midnight and the Meaning of Love. The 6th volume and the 7th day in Brooklyn coming to an end when our protagonist takes his trip to Japan. And if you can stand the turbulence, then let the reading commence. Chapter 22. It was like the whole Bed-Stuy territory cleared out and surrounded the outdoor court where we were scheduled to ball. It felt good to roll up to such excitement, yet it seemed like much more than a junior league game deserved. And I want to win, plan to win, but I do not want to be famous. I pushed my way through the crowd and joined my team 5 minutes before game time. Out of habit, I surveyed row by row in each direction. "This crowd is crazy," my team member Panama pointed out with a nod of his head. I acknowledged the same way. "You think it's us, Black, but it's not," Machete, another teammate, said. We were all leaning forward on the players' bench. "Of course it's us! We're undefeated," Jaguar said aggressively. "Look over to the left. That's Ricky Santiaga, our team owner," Machete exposed. "Who said?" Braz asked. "He's from around my way. A big-time businessman, if you know what I'm saying. I've been peeping it. He's been making a lot of smart moves lately." Machete put us up on it. "You saying people come in out here just to see him? Can't be. He's just a local player. There's mad hustlers representing out here," Braz said. "Catch up and pay attention," Machete said, as though he was the underboss. "Look who Santiaga is standing next to. Mike Tyson, the up-and-coming heavyweight champion of the world. I heard this kid is an official Brooklyn killer. His body is as wide as a building, and his fist broader than your head. And check the rapper standing next to him." All team heads shifted to search. "Oh, Panama said, and then stood right up. "And check the other side, the whole Uptown crew, and Calvin and Rich and them. Oh yeah, Take your seats, it's about to go down! Vega screamed, cause he could hardly hear himself talk. Machete, Midnight, Panama, Jaguar, and Big Mike, let's go! He shouted. He motioned so hard with his hand for us to move that his cologne almost knocked us out. We were in the middle of the court now. The air horn went off, the whistle blew, and Big Mike snatched a jump ball and sent it sailing right over to Panama. We was all running now. 3 seconds before time ran out in the fourth quarter. Machete passed the ball to me, and it seemed like the whole crowd went silent and all inhaled at the same time. I was standing at the top of the key where I have stood 1,000 times. I pulled up, ignoring my sore shoulder that had been pulling on me all night. I didn't even have 2 points in this game. I just kept feeding Panama, a reversal of our normal strategy. He lapped it up and proved himself handily. He had 28 points on the board for self. That's why the man who was supposed to be checking me was double-checking and double-teaming Panama, and I was free and clear. Inside of a second, although I never knew there was an inside to only 1 second's worth of time, I said to myself, if I make the shot, what I've been thinking has to be done has to be done. If I miss it, it's not for me to do. I closed my eyes. I had the feelings and the dimensions of this court embossed in my memory. My fingers pushed and then flicked the ball, and when I opened my eyes, me, the crowd, and my team were all mid-air cheering, swoosh. It was my only 3 points, but it was the most important and pivotal shot in the game and in my life for the moment. The players rushed me, crushed my left shoulder some more, and the crowd went haywire. I pushed all the Russian girlies toward my teammates, wanting to ease up out of there. Purposely, I had played low-key throughout the game, but now I had brought too much attention to myself. That was a mean-ass shot, man, Vega yelled as he pulled me out from the growing, clawing crowd. Oh yeah, step to the side for me for a minute. He pushed me forward with one hand and the crowd back with the other. I followed him, and he used his authority as a coach to keep the crowd off my trail. Panama and the fellas were still entertaining the crowd, holding up the number 1. Their arms raised high, index finger towards the sky. Girls gathered around them and began cheering. Oh yeah, let me ask you something, man, Vega said. Right before you took the Ronin shot, did I see you close your eyes? He was leaning in toward me like I was about to reveal some unknown magic potion. Listen, man. Tell me what you were thinking in that split second, okay? He looked serious and too curious, so I lightened him up. I was thinking that I had to make Coach Vega look good, I told him. He smiled and hugged me up like one of my excited teammates. Listen, this weekend is the International Outer Show. I got tickets for you and the 4 other starters. I want to introduce you to somebody influential. Matter of fact, I could take the credit. He actually asked me to introduce you to him, Vega said, speaking rapidly and emphasizing the importance of the meetup. Before you say no, just let me tell you that we got a white Mercedes-Benz, a Mercedes 300E, Hammer, being unveiled. It's the world's fastest passenger sedan. V8 engine made by AMG. 375 horsepower, 7 airbags, and it goes from 1 to 60 miles per hour in 4 seconds flat. I know. It's a beautiful machine. I finished Vega's sentences. I always kept up with the car magazines. Okay, the New York Coliseum right across the street from CHAPETR. We meet up at about 7 tomorrow night. He stated it like it was a confirmed fact. Wish I could, coach, but I won't be seeing you until game time for the next game. Remember I had something in advance I had to take care of? I reminded him. He gave me a stare, conveying his disappointment, then must have decided he still needed me. Alright, my man, I got you, my bad. You did terminar. Hola, let me grab the other four men, and then we can do this right now. He dashed into the crowd and pulled Panama, Machete, Jaguar, Big Mike, same as he did me. That broke up the furor, and the crowd began to slowly move out and off the court. Some girls sucked their teeth. Others waited impatiently. Some of the players' peoples chilled outside the fence for them. Let's walk, Vega ordered the five of us. On the dark side of the building, Ricky Santiaga sat calmly on the hood of a black Ferrari 288 GTO. Only a fool didn't know how exclusive that joint was. It cost almost $170K. Off the top, I wondered if it was his or if he rented it just to see jaws drop open, like they were dropping right now. His men were grouped up at the corner of the building within eyesight. I figured they were to block off any curious heads and to make their boss feel at ease. My eyes captured the car, of course, the soft white leather seats and precise piping. Every detail popped out before me. His new Todds, the black suede driving shoes he wore as he rested his feet against his front fender. A single lamppost casted a beam of light around them as if they were being displayed in the shoe store window of a Park Avenue shop. I checked my date just. It was 10:05 p.m. I had a handle, and I had to meet up with Ameer at 11:30. As I eased my eyes off the face of my watch, I saw his Cartier. Yet, what really stood out was his gold band topped off by one clean princess-cut diamond, a modest 1 3/4 carat diamond being rocked on his married finger. You got an appointment? Ricky Santiaga asked me in a cool and even tone. I do, I answered calmly. This is your appointment, Vega intervened, giving Santiaga £1 and then introducing him to the five of us. Santiaga eased off the hood of the Ferrari and stood. He was at least as tall as me, at 6'1". My man Midnight says he has an appointment tonight, and I believe him, so we're gonna make this quick. Y'all ran a good game tonight. Made me feel proud. Your teamwork was crazy, and that's what killed off your opponents. Y'all outsmarted them, made hood history. I like that. It made me want to meet you. So let's get to know each other real fast. I'm gonna erase everything I ever heard about each of you from other people until tonight. He checked his watch. You do the same, aight? He asked us. Aye. All four members called out immediately. I'm going to ask each of you 3 questions, any 3 questions that I choose. You get 1 chance to pass if you don't want to answer one of these 3 questions. Then each of you gets to ask me 1 question. I'll take 1 pass for myself, got it? He said, looking each of us in the eye one by one to get his feeling across. He was talking slowly and seriously. He commanded everyone's attention with his style and method. And now Vega was unusually silent. Machete, where you from originally? Santiaga asked. La República Dominicana, Machete responded without smiling in his normal laid-back, intentionally threatening style. Yet I could see clearly that he was in awe of Santiaga. Jaguar, where are you from originally? Belize, Jaguar answered. Panama. From Panama, right? Santiaga asked and answered. No doubt, Panama confirmed, so excited you would think he had been MVP of the league already, his gold-framed teeth all exposed. Braz, Same question, Santiago pointed. Las favelas de Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, Braz said proudly. It seemed everybody was suddenly rocking their accents and mother tongue. And you, Santiago asked me with a slight smile. I'll pass, I responded. No problem. That's your one, Santiago said patiently. So we'll start with you this time. What's the meaning of team? Santiago asked me. I paused and then answered, it's a group of people who decide to work together to accomplish one or more goals. If one person falls or fails, every team member covers for him. We all keep pushing until we get it done right, the same way we agreed in the beginning. Santiago looked at Vega one time as though they could communicate without words. Then he refocused on the next player. Machete. What are your plans for the future? Santiago questioned. To be alive in the future, that's the first thing. Come to think of it, I want to be just like you. So large, I could sit on a Ferrari like it's nothing and have a bunch of dudes who got my back standing around just waiting for me to give the word. My teammates all laughed, not just at his answer, but at Machete's style. We were used to him, but Santiago was just getting a taste. And so the questions went around just like this. I said in the future I wanted the black team to win the tournament undefeated. They all cheered for that, overlooking that I never answered the question of how I see my future and what I wanted to become. For his third and final round, Santiago got more serious, in his face and his interrogation. Machete, what is success? He asked. $25 million. Machete didn't even pause to think about it. Panama, what would you do to get $25 million? Santiago asked. Any motherfucking thing, Panama said confidently. My teammates laughed, then confirmed. Braz, what is your definition of a traitor? Santiago asked. Anyone who gets in the way of what I'm trying to do, Braz responded seriously. Jaguar, if you had to sacrifice one thing on your body, what would it be? Santiago asked. Damn, why me? Why ask me that? He said, disappointed. Answer the question. Santiago didn't give him a way out. Jaguar paused. My middle toe, he said after a minute. Everyone laughed. No, seriously, Jaguar said, 'cause I got two on each side of the middle one and I could still walk or run without it, and nobody but my girl would know what's missing. Everyone laughed. Midnight, my man. What is the meaning of life? Santiago asked me, turning everyone's attention to my reaction. Family. I said just that one word. No one said anything. For seconds, no one moved. Braz asked, Where you from originally? Santiago looked at me and then answered, I'll pass. Machete asked, Why are you putting money up for this league? Santiago quickly said, Because we can't let no one else get a monopoly over our young. Machete took one step back, as though the answer was too deep for him. Jaguar asked, Why do you choose us players in the first place? Santiago said swiftly, Because I know what kind of men to surround myself with. Panama asked, What do you do for a living? Everybody got quiet. He knew it was a dangerous question, and so did we. I'm a businessman, of course, Santiago said with a smile. You know, an entrepreneur. How about that pendant that you wore the last 3 times I saw you? The gold pendant of the baby shoe. Why did you choose that piece? I asked him, truly wanting to know. 'Cause babies are innocent and men are guilty, Santiago said. Then he touched the pendant he was rocking tonight, a 24-karat gold chess piece. It was the queen piece, surrounded by a link made up of 40 gold king crowns. All right, time's up. Now we know each other a little better. Great game. Keep it up until the job is done. He gave us each a pound. I was last. Strangely, he gripped my hand when I gave him a pound and pulled me into his embrace. We all walked past the Ferrari to view it from another angle as we left. Purposely, I didn't delay it. It was 10:25 p.m. now. I walked out with a few players and random youth who were still excited and involved in heated conversation, which included reenactments of small pieces of our game. I hopped on the train with a few and rode toward my Brooklyn apartment. I got off 6 stops later. Slowly, I quieted my mind and blocked out any thoughts of basketball, money, or the game. Calmly, I walked by and with anonymous passengers. I went up the stairs, crossed over, and went back down into the subway on the other side and hopped back on the train, moving in the opposite direction. There was a pathway by her house that nobody should be on unless they lived there, and an alley with only one window facing a solid brick wall. I only had a half hour to give. The results would be based strictly on chance. I wouldn't want to attach this act to a lie without his permission. I crouched there, black sweats, black Nikes, my black fitted, riding low. Warm weather made my face moist. I could smell the cement and the trash and traces of spilt Kool-Aid which had attracted a bunch of busy bugs. In only 12 minutes, he came creeping. It must have been his appointment with destiny. He was using the back entrance because he was the type who was hardly ever welcomed willingly through the front door. This time, it cost him. I leapt up from the ground, certain I was nothing but a silhouette in the dark of the night. He was startled, surprised, and unprepared, of course. My guess was that he was used to only fighting girls. Men like him think they'll have a free hand forever. I struck him one precise and powerful blow to his throat, so swift with my right closed fist that when his head tilted forward, he never saw my right leg at a 120-degree angle. My sharp kick made his head stand back up straight and his body fall backward against the wall. I disappeared faster than the mist before his body could even slide down to the ground. They say that a leopard grabs its prey by the throat, drags it, and then rips it apart with his teeth. When he's done, he leaves nothing but blood and broken bones behind. As I moved swiftly, yet calmly, taking 45 seconds to walk through the back streets of Bedford-Stuyvesant and down the stairs of the subway, I thought to myself, Bangs wanted me and her to have a secret. Now we have a secret. Chapter 23. Where is everybody? Ameer said as he entered my Brooklyn apartment for the first time. Everybody like who? I dodged, taking a few steps over to close Ulma's bedroom door. Your family, he emphasized. Like I should have already known. They're away because I'm going away tomorrow, remember? I told him. Oh yeah, I knew you were going. I didn't know they were going also, he said, looking around my living room. I never corrected him on that matter. I hope you got some food up in here, Ameer demanded. If the red team would have lost tonight, I would only let you get a bowl of hot water. I would put it right there in the corner on the floor, I joked with him. You're lucky I won. I still got your $100 though, Ameer said, like he had one up. Yo, give that money to Sensei like I asked you to. Ask him to hold my spot. I pulled some food out of the refrigerator, which Uma had wrapped up and stored. I placed everything on the countertop. Here, you heat it up. I'll be right back. In my room, I moved my duffel bag onto my bed and took some personal items that belonged to my wife and packed them inside. I ignored my new Armani suit hanging in my closet. Hey, how come this food is all crushed up? Ameer yelled from the kitchen. It tastes good. Just heat it on a low flame, I hollered back. It smells good, but damn, it's like baby food, he complained. I didn't bother telling him the answers Uma would have given, that Sudanese foods like eggplant and chickpeas and beans and lentils, often ground and merged with delicious spices. It's great for your digestion, and Americans would eat them in this manner if they knew better. There should be some lemon chicken breasts in there. Try 'em. Heat mine, too, I told him. What the f*** do I look like, your f***ing housemaid? Just do it. You're doing yours anyway. I gotta make an important phone call, I told him. You got any Wonder Bread? He yelled back. I only eat Wonder Bread. I picked up the telephone in my room and pressed 15 numbers it took to contact Iwa Akita, Akemi's English-speaking friend Sensei had told me about. I calculated it was 12:40 in the afternoon in Tokyo, and although it was late Friday night in New York, it was already the next day, Saturday afternoon, for them. 4 rings, and then an answering machine switched on. Her entire message was spoken in Japanese. All I understood was the beep. Peace, Akita-san. This is Mayonaka calling for Akemi. She left your phone number as a contact. Thank you for helping us with our communication. Please tell Akemi that I'll call her back at 9 p.m. Tokyo time on Sunday night. If she can be there at your place, at that time we can talk. Please tell her everything will be okay, so take it easy, I said, and then hung up. My plan was to arrive at Narita Airport in Japan at 8 p.m. Tokyo time, clear customs, and give Iwa Akita a call at 9 p.m. and arrange to meet up with my wife on the spot. I already knew I couldn't stand to hear her crying over the phone while I stood uselessly 7,000 miles away. Face to face was my true desire and only strategy. True, I knew that I had conflicting information. I had 2 addresses for her father, and one in Ginza and the other in Roppongi. I had the telephone number for Iwa Akita, who was staying somewhere in Tokyo, which led me to believe that Akemi was somewhere in Tokyo. I had the name of Akemi's birthplace, where she also said she had lived, which is called Kyoto, and the name of the high school she attended, Kyoto Girls High School, that was listed on the literature from a show at the Museum of Modern Art. The high school was also located in Kyoto. As I flipped through the pieces of paper with her information on it, I was beginning to feel like one of the characters in the many mystery novels that I had read over the past couple of years. This shit is good, Ameer said, scooping up his crushed vegetables with a spoon. Word up! I thought it was gonna be nasty! What did your coach say when he saw your face f***ed up like that? I asked him. You're late! Get on the court so they can f*** up your face some more! Ameer imitated his crazy coach. Nah, that ain't right, I said with disbelief. True, he said matter-of-factly. We met our team owner tonight, I shared. I bet he was filthy, Ameer said, commenting on his riches. I laughed. He was Ferrari filthy, I said calmly, but I guess with some passion to it. Oh my God, Ameer said, truly amazed. I tell you one thing, he didn't seem like none of these hustlers from around here, I pointed out. Yeah, I didn't see no Ferraris parked down in front of your building, Amir laughed. He was asking us some questions that no man in the street ever asked me before. What? Was he kicking the mathematics? Amir was talking his 5%er lingo. Nah, it's like, who are you? Where you from originally? What's more important than your life? It's like that, I told Amir as I thought back on it. Was he high? Amir asked. No, he was sober and clear. He was the type of cat that for some reason you might want to tell him a lie, but you end up telling him the truth anyway. Like you! Amir laughed once or twice and then turned quiet. So what do you want to do in the future? I asked Amir. Well, teacher? Amir switched his voice into a joke mode. Seriously. I want Sensei to offer me private weapon lessons without me having to ask him, like he did with you. I want to have a girl that's so bad, who makes me go so crazy that I would do anything for her. Would you marry her? I asked him. That's what I mean, he said. I want a girl who makes me lose my mind to the point that I would stand in front of a room full of my closest friends and family and say, I'll do anything for you. You're just fucking around, I told Amir. If you could get it, I could get it, he said with a straight and serious stare. I didn't take no offense to it. I thought if him looking at me trying to do the right thing made him want to do better in life, then all praise is due to Allah. And I want my father to respect me, Amir said. Want him to see me do good in life. And on his own, without my mom's encouragement, I want him to say, son, you did good. You did even better than me. Amir looked like he was speaking to me, honestly, while recalling something else. But with all jokes aside, finally, it sounded like he was saying something true that he actually felt and meant. Later that night, after my bags were all packed, I threw Amir a light blanket in the pillow. I dug my television out of my closet and set it on the table in the living room so he could watch it. I had to hear 10 minutes of his jokes about my small television set, an antique, Amir declared. Then he called me Fred Sanford, a name that I didn't know. Next, he accused me of treating him like Grady, another man I never heard of. Then he asked for a wire coat hanger. I handed him one. He threw it back at me and told me to stick it in the hole on top of the TV. Move it to the left, he laughed. I moved it and then up. Okay, stand there, just like that. Don't let it go. He cracked up. I dropped the wire hanger, left the room, and prepared myself for a make-up prayer. Amir, still laughing, fell to the floor from his couch. I made the prayer in my room on top of a clean towel. First standing, Allahu Akbar, which simply means God is the greatest, and then bending and eventually putting my head to the floor. Almost half an hour later, when I finally opened my eyes, I found Amir standing still at my bedroom door watching me. What do you need? I asked him. That's how you pray? He asked. Don't you? I asked. Never did, he said. Why not? I asked. Don't know. Just didn't, he said. You want to learn? I offered. I do, but not now. Maybe when you get back home from Japan or something like that. It seems like if I do that right now, if I start praying that way, something might change. Maybe after I finish, I won't recognize myself. Whenever, just let me know, I told him. In my prayers, I had asked that we make it through the night without a rude banging on my front door, a gang of officers coming to take me away for assault with a deadly weapon, my feet and my hands. I had known what had to be done since the day that Bang's body shook with anger, the night her uncle snatched away her baby. I also knew I had to separate my Uma and my sister from anything that I might do. I had to execute it swiftly and immediately afterward to be joined by one or more people whom I could use as an alibi in case there was an investigation. I knew I needed everyone to see me at that ball game last night and to also see me leave the game along with others. I also was certain that everything could go terribly wrong, but I calmed myself to accept that however it ended up going was how it was supposed to go. If Bangs' uncle hadn't been at her house, my plan would have failed and I would have had to leave for Tokyo with the task undone. If her uncle had never come out of the house or stepped through the alley within the amount of time I had allotted myself, then nothing would have happened to him. I concluded that if he hadn't deserved it somehow, if it wasn't supposed to be me who avenged him for abusing Bangs, then he would have been nowhere in her vicinity. I had faced the dilemma like a complicated riddle. Admittedly, I even tried to excuse myself from doing anything about it. One voice in my mind argued, "Bangs is not my wife. If something goes wrong with me defending Banks, I could miss out on rescuing my real wife, who I do love immensely, and to who I am willingly responsible." Then the same voice argued, "Maybe Bangs is in this trouble because of something she did." But in the end, I thought to myself that Bangs' uncle was worse than a vulture, a creature that at least waits till after a death to pluck and pull at the flesh. Her uncle was a man who did every fucked up thing he could get away with because he was confident either that every other man was doing the same thing as him, or every other man was absent, or every other man was too much of a coward to take him out. For me, it became a matter that almost wasn't about Bangs. It was about men needing to check other men and make sure they respect some boundaries and limits. And I knew from the moment that I got here on American soil in the Brooklyn borough that some of these just had to go. Saturday, May 10th, 1986. Sunlight came uninterrupted and remained thankfully. I woke up at 9 a.m. I woke Ameer up at 9:30. I saddled him with my duffel bag and a knapsack before he could even consider washing up or showering in my apartment. I didn't have the time to give. "You carry it. What the is in here, cement?" he asked. "I would, but it's better if you carry it. I don't want around here to think I'm going away. You know the streets. They might get excited and run up in my spot while I'm gone." I also carried a knapsack on my back. True, he said, and carried my stuff willingly all the way to the trunk of the taxi. "Pull over on the right corner for a minute," I told the cab driver when we reached the subway entrance. "Your meter is running," he told me in a heavy Indian accent. "No problem," I assured him. I took my backpack off and handed it over to Ameer. "You want to hold something?" I asked him, looking him dead in the eye to convey that it was one of my burners. He paused. "Nothing on it," I guaranteed him. "Hell yeah. Word up," he said calmly. "Hold it for me," I told him. He grabbed the backpack and climbed out the cab. "And be easy," I added. "Later," we both said at the same time. He slammed the door. I saw Ameer walk down the steps to the subway as my taxi sped off. Chapter 24. Even though the two living spaces at the Ghazali home were separate, the scent of Sudanese foods being prepared was not. The entire place was filled with the warmth of spring and the sense of Khartoum. I placed my duffel down and walked to the back room looking for Uma. I found her in her new bedroom, seated on her blanket, a pen in one hand, and surrounded by papers. I wondered why, even though I knocked, she did not answer. Gently, I pushed her door open. Oddly, she did not look up at me. "Uma," I called. She shook her head, used her right hand to move her hair from out of her face, wiped away a few tears, and finally held her head up to face me. Seeing her expression, I couldn't speak. She looked me over with a slow study.
"Allah is merciful,"
she said. I heard these kinds of words many times, but not with the same kind of sorrow.
"I had a feeling last night,"
Uma said.
"In the evening, it was just an anxious feeling. Then about 10 o'clock at night, it was a feeling of great joy. Then, less than an hour later, my joy turned to a feeling of vulnerability, great danger. I was upstairs, myself and Naja and all the Ghazali women. We were cooking, preparing for today. The men were here in the house, Mr. Ghazali and his sons. Tamara must have noticed something also. As I kneaded the bread, she asked me, 'Sana, are you feeling okay?' I said I was, but I wasn't. It took some seconds for me to search myself. I didn't want to worry Naja or anyone, so I stepped away. In the bathroom, I made a prayer. Even as I was speaking to Allah, my moods were moving, heart racing a bit. When I opened my eyes, I knew I was not in danger. It was you."
Standing still in the entrance of her door, I could now feel Uma's intensity moving inside my chest, stirring inside me.
"Alhamdulillah. Allah the Merciful heard my prayer. You are here,"
she said with a muffled excitement. I smiled as a look of great relief came over her face. My own tension began to diffuse.
"You must remember, son, about the nature of a mother's heart. Wherever you are in this world, if you are at ease, I am at ease. If you are troubled, I am troubled. This is the nature of true love. So whatever you consider it first in your own mind, then consider it again, thinking only of me. Treat it as if we are one heart, one life, you and I."
"Is that the meaning of love?" I asked, finally breaking my silence.
"True love is like this,"
Uma said.
"And since Akemi loves you, and you love Akemi, and she is there and you are here, you must know that true love is like this,"
Uma emphasized, but her words also felt like a question placed before me. I thought of Naja, Uma, and Akemi. Afterward, all I could do was agree. Yes, true love is like this. But when I thought further, I said to myself, I'm a man. I didn't have the same emotions as a woman. Those kinds of powerful emotions would paralyze me. Yet for Uma, Akemi, and Naja, I would sacrifice my life.
"As for the girl with the child,"
Uma said softly, switching topics to my true surprise. My soul shook. How much could Uma possibly know about last night? I already knew that I would never discuss it with her or anyone else. What's done is done.
"Be careful with her. She has already entered your mind. It is a short trip for a woman to enter your heart once she is already in your thoughts."
Uma's bomb exploded inside me. I didn't react, and Uma didn't reveal that she was aware of the intensity of her words, although we both knew their strength and impact and meaning.
"And you already have 3 women living in your heart. Your mother, your wife, and your sister. It is already a lot for a young man. Carry only what you can carry well and properly. The rest must be carried by other men. Each man should do his part.
Chapter 25. Back to back behind the boys' baseball team, I boarded Japan Airlines Flight 322. I counted 18 of them, all wearing the same exact jacket, 16 of them teenagers. Even the 2 male adults had their team windbreakers on. It was warm outside and air-conditioned in the airport, but my head was hot. I had a list of things revolving in my brain while my eyes monitored everything and everyone, my heart hoping there wouldn't be one hitch before takeoff. A sudden voice calling me, "Hey you, step out of the line!" But it didn't happen. I had moved smoothly through the scanners, metal detectors, and airport security. So far, so good. When I booked this flight, I had imagined that I might be the only teenager flying, surrounded by 250 old heads wearing business suits. But I was wrong. It was Saturday late afternoon, and the gate had been filled with all types and ages, a number of teens in T-shirts, all of them organized, quiet, and preoccupied by some toy or technology or book. Some were having excited conversations, softer than a murmur, and only their faces revealed emotion. Directions were spoken in a soft, polite voice, first in Japanese, then in English. I reached my seat, an aisle seat at the bulkhead in coach class, so there was no one seated in front of me. I had room to stretch my legs. I placed 2 bags in the overhead compartment before sitting down. I loosened the laces on my tan suede clogs and unbuttoned the top 2 buttons on my suede Ralph Lauren shirt. I ran my hand over my fresh Caesar cut and fastened my seatbelt. I glanced at my date just. 20 minutes till takeoff. Then I took a deep breath. As passengers filed in, searching for their seats and wheeling their carry-ons behind them, I put in my earplugs and turned on my music. I took the black case from my pocket, removed my new Gucci sunglasses, and eased them over my eyes. The darkening of the cabin and all the images that surrounded me soothed me some. Sudana had gifted me these and insisted that I open her gift right then and there as she and everyone else watched. I never expected the royal send-off. The gifts and celebration that Uma, Naja, and the Ghazalis had prepared for me. It was a sweet gesture and a magical meal made with great care and a deep love, from how the dishes were positioned on the table, to the look and garnishings on the food, to the aroma they created in the Ghazali home. The taste and blend of the spices was Uma through and through. And as she stood there dressed in royal robes that she made and beaded by her hand, it was simple for me to see that this was all an expression of a mother's true love for her son. Despite me being tired and stressed and having an endless checklist churning in my mind, I was moved. Talal Salim, Mr. Ghazali's younger son, filmed it all using the camera that Ameer and Chris gifted to me. Then Naja threw the whole place into a frenzy when a frog leapt out of her pocket and onto the table where the food was still being admired. The green creature was lucky he had not leapt into the steaming soup pot.
"I'm sorry, I'll catch him."
Naja jumped up from her seat and chased it. Uma and Mrs. Ghazali stood shocked. Mustafa Salim helped Naja while Talal kept filming and the Ghazali daughters just laughed.
"I found him in the backyard,"
Naja confessed, cupping the captured frog between her 2 palms.
"Sudana!"
Naja began, almost snitching. I looked at Sudana. She gave Naja a stern look and placed one finger by her lips. Naja understood immediately and changed the direction of her talk.
His name is Panic because every time people see him, that's how they act, but I don't know why.
Naja said, peeking in at her frog.
Naja, put him back outside.
Uma said softly.
And then wash your hands and return to the table. Yes, Uma.
Naja agreed immediately, exaggerating her obedience. I knew she had a plan. I looked at my sister and smiled, my stress easing some. When Naja and Sudana returned all cleaned up, Mr. Ghazali said, "Wait, let's take a photo."
Talal is already filming.
Basima, his eldest daughter, pointed out. "A photo? With my camera?" Mr. Ghazali insisted, pointing out that the movie camera would be leaving with me when I left. As everyone stood and merged together for the photo, I looked toward Uma, who was looking toward me. A memory as swift and impossible to catch as lightning flashing through a cloud shot through my mind, and I was certain it shot through Uma's also. It was a memory of our last night living in the Sudan, though no one knew it would be our last. Our big family was gathered together. A photographer whom my father had hired called out suggestions for how each of us should sit or stand to be captured in his lens. We were all dressed in our best, my father seeming taller than a tree, and more important than the sky, had his 3 wives and most of our family present. Mr. Ghazali clicked 3 photos. He then handed his camera to his wife, gathered all of us men, and Mrs. Ghazali clicked the photo of Mr. Ghazali, myself, Mustafa, and Talil. Then we all prayed and ate together. Afterward, we all resisted the power of sumptuous handmade food and spices that push people into relaxed postures. Uma and the other females piled gifts for me onto the table where only the desserts remained. Mr. Ghazali leaned on me to get moving or risk missing my 6 p.m. flight. Mustafa and Talil loaded my luggage into the trunk of their taxi while Uma and I excused ourselves and went downstairs to speak privately. "I went to Queens this morning to check on a new house," I told her. "Mr. Slursberg is an interesting man."
What happened?
Uma asked. "Him and his wife were sitting on the porch doing nothing. The wife offered me some water. I accepted her offer because I wanted to go in and see how they were progressing with moving out."
And?
Uma asked. "The place looked exactly how it did when you saw it, nothing packed away and a mess."
What did they say about it?
Uma asked. "I told Mr. Slursberg if he didn't move out on time, he would have to refund the rush fee that I paid him." Uma laughed. She knew the ending of my short story. Mr. Slursberg said, "I have 6 days and 6 hours left. In 6 days, 6 hours, and 1 minute, this place will look like we were never here." We both laughed. Uma slid me a final gift.
This is for Mr. Nakamura.
A gift from your father.
I looked into Uma's eyes, knowing that she had gift-wrapped one of my father's possessions for a man who she hoped would accept her son properly into his family. I understood my Uma's heart, but in this matter, I did not share her sentiments. I accepted the gift with mixed and incomplete thoughts about how I would handle it. "Okay, Uma, I'm about to go now. I love you." I looked around. "You have the keys, money in your purse, and a safe place. You will be driven everywhere and watched over. You have everything," I said.
Except my son.
She said, tearing. I embraced my mother strongly and kissed her cheek, whispering in her ear, "Don't worry. I will return to you, inshallah. The plane began moving forward slowly. It picked up speed until it was moving so quickly that it seemed to be standing still, and we lifted into Allah's sky. Through my dark sunglasses, I surveyed the area of the cabin where I was seated. Every seat seemed occupied, and the crowd was almost completely Japanese. As the air conditioning blew out above each seat, some people wrapped themselves in blankets. A few passengers reclined their seats. Some slid black face masks over their eyes to seclude themselves. Some men read newspapers and others read books. There was a 14-hour flight ahead of us, and people seemed the opposite of anxious. They appeared relaxed and well prepared. Here was a place so different from my Brooklyn block. No matter how young or old, everyone on board was going somewhere for a specific reason and had paid a premium price. Everyone was peaceful, probably hoping for the same thing, a safe flight. My side seat tray was down already.
Would you like a drink?
The petite flight attendant asked. She was the only European, blonde, her blouse crisp and spotless, her hands clasped in front of her, the same as the Japanese flight attendants working the aisles. The drink cart was behind her. I pulled one of my earplugs out. Nah. No, thank you, I answered, holding down my stack of index cards in my left hand and my marker in my right hand. My English to Japanese word and phrase dictionary was laid out on the tray. She smiled and asked,
Will you teach yourself Japanese in...
She checked her watch.
13 hours?
No, just a few words, I replied with a smile. She smiled back and turned to serve the passengers seated across from me, using both English and the Japanese language with ease. There was a pattern of requests for green tea by the elders and Diet Coke by the young. Businessmen requested drinks, Asahi, which is a Japanese beer, sake, and hard liquor as well. I went back to thinking of the most useful words and phrases that I needed to know while moving around in Japan. Then I looked them up in English and learned the Japanese tradition. I'd write it down on the index card in Japanese on the front of my cards. Then I'd write the answer key in English on the back of the card. So far, I had completed 52 study cards, and I was aiming for around 100 or 150.
Miro, I'm Yuka.
Some girl said to me. She was walking past my seat for the second time.
Let's trade music.
She offered with excited eyes.
You are listening to music, aren't you?
Yeah, I answered.
So let's trade. I'm in seat 42A on the aisle right up here.
She pointed to a more forward area, but I believed it was still part of the coach section. What kind of music are you listening to? I asked her.
You see, here.
She handed me her headphones that she had been wearing around her neck like a necklace. She used her left hand to touch the wire of my earphones, so sure that I would lend them to her. So I did.
Arigato,
she said softly with great excitement. She then continued forward toward her seat, her slim legs swishing in some new Levi's. She wore black Adidas on her feet and rocked her small purse on her backside instead of in front of her or on her side like most American girls did. The brief exchange with Yuka got my mind to roaming. For the past week in Brooklyn, I hadn't had the ease or comfort to let my thoughts run free. Like sand spilling through the narrow passage in an hourglass, I had been in a mad race against time. I had to focus, control, and execute precisely. Now I laid my study cards down and then closed my eyes. The end of Book 1. Ladies and gentlemen, fellow queens and kings, let me take this moment to thank you all for tuning in to Ralph Reads, brought to you by TURN. Due to the intense popular demand, I was vehemently asked to reintroduce outros where I bid you all farewell just as I did before. So, let's take it back to the old school. We have come to the conclusion of Book 1, the Brooklyn Story portion of the award-winning best-selling author's Sister Souljah's best-selling novel, Midnight and the Meaning of Love. I was reading to you from the unabridged and first Atria Books hardcover edition. Atria Books is a division of Simon & Schuster, New York City, New York. Copyrighted 2011 by Souljah Story Incorporated. Let me kindly remind you, fellow queens and kings, to like, share, comment, and subscribe. Tell a friend to tune in today to TURN, okay? The United Ronin Networks. We are Ronin. Fellow royalty, pick up a good book, read a good story, and set your good self free. I appreciate you, and I love you like cooked food. I will see you folks in the next season on the next miniseries of Ralph Reads. Through the worst times and the best times and everywhere in between, the United Ronin Networks were not a sight unseen. Nearing 4 years on this quest to show you when it comes to audiobooks, Ralph Reads is the very best.
Mike Mountain, and I want to give a special shout out to Ralph Anthony Garcia of the United Ronin Networks at YouTube. Make sure y'all go to the United Ronin Networks at YouTube. Check out his channel. Check out his series, Ralph Reads. Give it a like, subscribe to his channel, and check out what he got to offer. Some really good stuff up there. This is Mike Mountain, and this message is approved by me. Peace.
You are now experiencing the Renpet phenomenon, an Afrofuturistic book series. Afrofuturism is the cure to sci-fi. Download now and experience melanin biotechnology. Bahala panties, a magnetizing manly musk, hinted with a splash of